Hi folks, this is all the fruit, and those sad looking plants here, let's call them Opuntia dillenii. Why am I saying let's call them Opuntia dillenii? Why I'm not saying this is Opuntia dillenii? Well, this has several reasons. First one is, there are two very similar, closely related species, Opuntia tuna and Opuntia stricta, and actually some people sometimes include Opuntia stricta, and as far as I know, even Opuntia tuna and Opuntia dillenii. Yeah, it's a little bit difficult with those cacti. There are tons and tons of Opuntia species, and the problem is that they are very easy to propagate by vegetative means. You just take one cactus pad, you plant it somewhere, you get a clone of the old cactus. Then you hybridize them and hybridize them and hybridize them again, and you misidentify the parent species and the hybrids and the second and third generation hybrids, and end up with stuff where basically only a genetic analysis can help you a little bit identifying what it is. Yeah, and also it's a little bit strange to find Opuntia dillenii here because it's basically a plant of the south coast of Tenerife. I'm here in the city of Puerto on the north coast, and generally we have three more common invasive Opuntia species in Tenerife. Opuntia ficus indica, the most common one, grows everywhere from the coast to up to, sometimes over 1,000 meters. On the southern coast, on the northern coast, in all types of habitats. I mean, it was cultivated on a very large scale here. Then there is Opuntia tomentosa, which is a big tree-like Opuntia. It's not that common. It's more common in the area of Anaga. And generally it grows in coastal areas in the north. And then there is Opuntia dillenii, which is mostly restricted to the south coast of Tenerife, where it also doesn't go as far up into the mountains as Opuntia ficus indica. I've noticed the same in the Mediterranean, like Opuntia dillenii is restricted to the hot coastal areas. Back then I thought that this is maybe due to it being less frost hardy than Opuntia ficus indica, but the north coast of the Canary Islands is frost free. So it must be that Opuntia dillenii just seems to like more heat and sun, and so it's not so successful on the north coast. Meanwhile, I have found a few places with really huge Opuntia dillenii populations on the north coast, but it still seems to be rather the exception than the rule. Well, here they've been planted in a place, and it seems like they are not doing too well. It seems like there was some sort of drought. The agave, Cisalana are also not doing so well. I guess nobody has been watering this area here for years. So the Opuntia dillenii look very bad, dying or dead, or even the ones which are alive, wilting, shriveling up. Few fruit, and a lot of them look like they're gonna be aborted, just a few good fruit. And here I got a couple fruit. That's what Opuntia dillenii looks like, what the fruit look like. The good thing is they have just a few areoles, unlike Opuntia ficus indica, so you'll usually find some places to grab them. And actually, it's not so hard to cut off the areoles with a knife before peeling the whole fruit. So, preparing Opuntia dillenii for consumption is different than with Opuntia ficus indica. In Opuntia ficus indica, first you get rid of the glochids and then you peel the whole cactus. In Opuntia dillenii, first you get rid of the areoles and then you peel the whole fruit. Here I peeled one because I'm not so sure I can pull this off with one hand. Here we have a fruit. Unfortunately, it's kind of damaged here, but all the areoles are in a ring on the top. So basically, come on. So basically, if you cut off the areoles, you end up with a cactus fruit without a single spine or thorn or glochid on it, And this fruit is manageable much easier now. I cut off the rotten part, and then basically I can remove the rind, which is kind of edible-ish but not very good, and I end up with the tasty flesh surrounding the seeds. Tastes pretty different from Opuntia ficus indica. This is, well, Opuntia ficus indica is the normal cactus in grocery shops, but this one can be found in grocery shops sometimes too. What does it taste like? Well, all those red cacti, they have a distinct, well, red taste, even if they are not closely related, I guess. The pigment might also bear the chemical that is responsible for the taste. How shall I describe it? Well, they not only look like beets. No, they don't taste like beets. What do they taste like? Well, it's this distinct taste of red cactus fruit. Here, I managed to remove all the areoles with the glockets. This is like all the spines for the non-botanists among you. And now I can process this cactus fruit. I can peel it without fear of being stung. So this is the special way to process Opuntia dillenii and closely related species, which is very different to process Opuntia ficus indica. More sour than the average Opuntia ficus indica. It doesn't have this carrot or pumpkin taste of Opuntia ficus indica. It has more like a plum-like taste. Yeah. Taste which is quite similar in a lot of not closely related cactus species with red flesh. Very interesting. That's why I think it's connected to the chemical that also provides this bright red hue. Pretty tasty. Yeah, really different from the Opuntia ficus indica. When my son was little, he wouldn't eat Opuntia ficus indica, only Opuntia dillenii. So that already tells you how different the taste. What can I say? Try them out. This is the second cactus species you can find in supermarkets in Spain. Not as often as Opuntia ficus indica, but still often enough. Try it. It tastes completely different. It's also being processed in a completely different way. It's a really interesting experience, so try it. Maybe you'll like it. Just remember that if you eat this stuff and go to the toilet somewhere in the bushes or throw away your trash somewhere in the bushes, you're creating new populations of an invasive species on the Canary Islands. Okay, folks, this was Opuntia dillenii, growing on the north coast of Tenerife. Stay tuned for a lot more fruit videos from the island of Tenerife. And don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe.